Good evening and welcome to the Richmond Heights Local School District's Town Hall virtual meeting. I am so grateful that you all have decided to engage with us on this evening for this event. And I know some people may be wondering why virtual? Well, simply put, we wanted to make sure that we provided access and convenience to all the citizens and residents of this community. We wanted to make sure that everyone was able to be partakers in this conversation and this event. One thing that we are also doing is recording this session so that it can be shared in the future with folks that may have missed the event or that want to rewind and take a look at some of our talking points. So again, thank you for attending tonight. This will be a very informative session. I am your superintendent, Dr. Marnisha Renee Brown, and I have the pleasure of leading this phenomenal school district alongside our treasurer, Cooper Martin, our board members, Mr. Frank Barber, Ms. Nanika Slade Jackson, who is our board president, Mr. Jackie Brown, who is our board vice president, Ms. Linda Plazinskis, who is a board member, and as well as Dr. Hugh Turner, board member. Richmond Heights Local School District is a school district that is supported by the community. As you know, we have the Cuyahoga County Public Library that's co-located on our campus and actually attached to our upper school. But we also have strong relationships with all of our city servants, our city hall, police department, and fire department. We are a city and school campus. So on this evening, we're going to take a look at a few things. We're going to look at our academics, our finances, the impact of the state budget, our advocacy work around the Vouchers Hurt Ohio lawsuit, and finally, the ballot issue. But before we get into the deep part of our discussion this evening, I wanted to start off by first taking a look back so that we understand our path forward. So Richmond Heights has been characterized as the little district that could and did. We are a district that have made monumental progress, and we have defied many, many odds. But it was just a little over a decade ago that our picture and our outlook was not as promising as it is today. Our district was in fiscal emergency. Our superintendent had been convicted of a crime, and our city was facing turmoil with the recall of a mayor. But look at where we sit today. We are a district and a city that has been full of resilience, grit, and a strong sense of community. We have made a path forward. I have been here going on 11 years, and I have been a part of the transformation in this school district. So not only have we transformed academics, we've looked at the culture of our community, how that we can be an outward-looking school district and be more collaborative with our community. We have made, again, monumental leaps and bounds. Think about it. We have improved our academics. Our community has had a commitment to 21st century learning by building and funding this 21st century building that I sit in this evening to talk to you from. Before, that would not have been an option. We have renovated spaces in our elementary to provide our youngest learners with a semblance of what 21st century learning is. And we continue to partner with our city and our district for continued success. That is what Richmond Heights is about. We understand where we came from, but we also know where we need to go. And together, we will make that path forward. So what does that look like here in Richmond Heights? We have 2 school buildings. We have an elementary school that houses our grades pre-K through 6, as well as an upper school, grades 7 through 12. Both of these buildings only have one single principal and a dean of students. Our elementary school has a new state-of-the-art makerspace and outdoor learning lab due to the COVID ESSER funds. We made use of those funds by providing our scholars with an opportunity to understand what 21st century learning was about, but also to expand the classroom to outdoors. The upper school is a 21st century hub of learning, state-of-the-art. As you see, we are co-located again with the Richmond Heights County branch of the Cuyahoga County Library. We also have an aviation classroom, makerspace, and 21st century learning facilities that allow our teachers and our students to collaborate beyond belief. This is what this community believed in, and this is what this community has provided. But what we know is that the road to success is still one that we are on, and we are striving for greatness. This year, we were able to bring on 2 veteran principals that understand the mission of this district. Crystal Macklin leads our middle school, high school, or upper school, that as some may call it, but she understands firsthand the power of how schools and community can change students' lives. Followed by Stephanie Efert, who is at the elementary school, and she understands that innovation and inclusivity promotes academic and personal growth. Both of these leaders understand the charge and are ready to take the helm. As we go through this presentation, I want you to understand that if you have questions, please place them in the chat. We will answer them as best as we can. We may combine a few just because of the amount of questions that are placed there, but please, please, please place questions in the chat. Richmond Heights Local School District is a district that believes in educating the whole child. We look at athletics and the arts, but we are girded in academics. We heard a cry from the community that said, we need our arts back. That was a pillar of our school. So what we did this year, we brought back our drama club and our choral club, and we have a budding arts department. In our academics, we're able to expand our College Credit Plus offerings and provide on-the-site job training through our magnet program. Again, a AAA focus, athletics, academics, and the arts, focusing on the whole child. But we don't stop there. We understand that students must be empowered to function in this 21st century world. So when we take a look at our academics and what we provide, we want to make sure that we provide our students with experiences and opportunities that empower them, that give them voice, that allow them to speak up and out regarding their needs in their community. You see a list of extracurriculars that are at the upper school and the lower school and the sports that we offer. But we also look at how can we leverage those opportunities to allow our students to move beyond high school, go to that post-secondary level. So we have 2 students listed below, Tony Ferris and Maya Johnson, who both use their ability in sports through volleyball and through basketball to commit to colleges and to continue their learning beyond Richmond Heights. Richmond Heights continues to produce stellar athletes and stellar students that go beyond 12th grade. So when we look at educating the whole child, we look at not just the education, but the empowerment that come together to create our academic outlook. The 2024 state report card data is listed before you. The 2025 data has not yet been released, but when it is, we'll be sure to share it with you. Overall, our district received 3.5 stars out of 5. We understand that there's still work that needs to be done. We have not arrived. But what we want to do is celebrate the successes that we have accomplished. Our district received a 5-star in graduation rate. What does that mean? That means that we graduated every student that was in our senior class. Our district also received a 5-star in progress. What does that mean? That means that our teachers, our staff, they're doing a phenomenal job year to year, making sure that our students are growing academically. They are progressing through their studies. And our high school, again, a 4.5-star rating. So while we know there's still work that needs to be done in our elementary, in our middle school, and overall, we must celebrate the successes of our students as well as our staff that have propelled us to this point. One thing you may not know is that once you come to Richmond Heights, you fall in love with Richmond Heights. Our teachers are committed to our students in our district. The average years of experience for a teacher here is 18. That means they stay here when they come. We only have 7 administrators in this district, inclusive of building principals. But the 7 administrators work very hard to make sure all of the needs of our students, staff, and school community are met on a daily basis. Again, once you come to Richmond Heights, you stay in Richmond Heights. We educate 780 students, 81 students on our campus every day. However, we have roughly about another 70 students that are Richmond Heights residents that we educate that are placed in other locations. So our commitment spans beyond the school building. We also take a look at how our graduates, while we had that stellar class, received over $1 million in scholarships for this year. So we are making an impact with our 100% graduation rate and how we impact our students in their learning every day. Again, we know there's work that needs to be done, but we're on the path and we celebrate our successes and wins along the way. So let's take a look at figures and how the state budget has impacted our school district, and not just the state budget, but what our current budget looks like. So when we look at the general fund revenue, we had over 16 million, a little over 16 million in the general fund revenue for the past year. And as you can see, that 70% of that comes from local taxes. I want to put a pin there because I want to explain that this is the funding formula that is set for the state of Ohio. Back in 1980, of course, it was ruled unconstitutional how schools in Ohio are funded. However, this is still the structure by which we must operate. So 70% of Richmond Heights local schools general fund revenue comes from local taxes. As you see, state sources are very minimal. The majority of our funding comes from local taxes. And then we take a look at how do we spend this money. Our general fund expenditures were a little under 16 million this year. 65% of that came from direct impact to the classroom. We looked at personnel, enrichment programs, student services. We impact the classroom every day, so the bulk of our expenditures are going directly into the classroom. This is how we are able to make sure that we are providing what our students need and we are soaring academically. Again, we educate the whole child. So when you take a look at that, we also provide services for mental health, for counseling, so that our students that attend our school district are able to attend without the barriers that may persist. We also have a roughly 29% in purchase services. Purchase services for us is a big chunk. Why? We are a small but mighty school district, and we take a look at how we can best effectively provide staffing and services within the district. We partner with the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio, and we have what we call a hybrid staffing model so that we're able to keep our expenditures low. So for instance, our security, our instructional aides, our deans are hired through the ESC. The services that we use for our students with disabilities are through the ESC. Our school psychs, our school psychologists, our speech and language pathologists, all of those folks are through the ESC because those are services that we need. We cannot forego those services, but we have to be creative in how we provide those services, as well as being good stewards of the money that you have entrusted us with. So we take a look at fiscal stewardship, and what does that mean for us? Fiscal stewardship is very near and dear to us because, again, you have entrusted us with money to educate the students of this school district, and we have to be fiscally sound with that. So we continue to monitor our cash flow and align them with expenditures. We have maintained clean audit reports from the Auditor of State, meaning that when they come in and take a look at our books, we are doing right by the students and the community here in Richmond Heights. We have maintained an A+ rating from Standards & Poor's. And I bring that up because this past year, we were placed on fiscal watch because we were facing a $1 million deficit. That $1 million deficit was in result of us not having any new monies, local monies, in 8 years. And because we had not received any new monies in 8 years, we were still functioning at a fund balance that would not provide for where we were now. So we had to create a plan or budget reduction. We collaboratively created that and submitted that to the Department of Education, and it was accepted. But those cuts were very specific, very strategic, just so that we were able to function and move forward. So what did those cuts look like? So we did not, we tried to work very hard in making sure that we stayed as far away from the classroom as possible. We looked at utilizing grants for textbook curriculum adoptions. We looked at how do we limit our after-school activities for students. If we didn't have a grant to provide it, we no longer could offer it. So we worked very hard in reducing our expenditures to ensure that we were in line with the expectation from the state and able to operate in a way that we could provide our students and families with what was best for them. So the state budget impact, how did that impact us? For the first time in over 10 years, you know, the state legislators really took a look at the budget and they did significant cuts, not just to education, but overall. And what took place was we were involved in, not just us, but school districts were involved in the removal of the funding formula. So we no longer have the funding formula because that was one area that was cut. A lot of the funding and state aid was removed, and that funding goes towards supporting our students that are more significant in need and that are more disadvantaged. Carryover cap was addressed, and then the expansion of transportation to charter schools. That area where we receive money from the state for transportation now has to be shared. Again, another hit to the school district. And when we look at the carryover cap that was placed on school districts, it looks at placing school districts in more frequent levy cycles. So these were the impacts of the budget bill to us, to Richmond Heights. So now we look at how is this playing out for us. Richmond Heights Local School District has been an advocate for fighting for public education. Our school board, our school community has been advocates, surefire advocates. We are one of the lead plaintiffs of many on the Vouchers Hurt Ohio lawsuit. Our school district and our school board made a commitment to fight for the funding that is owed to public schools. So Article 6, Section 2 of the Constitution is what the voucher lawsuit was predicated on. Simply put, it looks at a thorough and efficient system of common schools that should be established throughout the state. but that no religious or other sect or sects should have any exclusive right or control or any part of the state funds of this state, school funds of this state. And I want to stop right there for a second because there has been a lot of debate around school choice and public education. We are not against school choice. We are proponents for school choice. We believe families should have the choice to educate their children where they see fit. Where we have a difference in opinion is with our legislators. We're saying that the money that has been used to fund public schools should remain there to fund public schools. And if the state would like to fund private or parochial schools, there should be another fund or another pot of money or assistance created for that. So again, it is not school choice versus public school. It's about what the state constitution had provided for public schools in Ohio. So in the 90s, the voucher program was created for underperforming schools in Cleveland, but by 2002, the Supreme Court had ruled that it could be expanded, this voucher program. And right now, it is no longer for underperforming schools. It's expanded to anyone regardless of the income need. Again, the fight that this district has been in and continues to be in regarding vouchers. One key point that I want to address with you all this evening is that if you take a look at the last bullet, it talks about child care and food assistance is available to families if your income is less than $45,000 annually. Conversely, voucher eligibility is a little different. If you're making less than $140,000 for a family of four, you are eligible for the voucher. But if you make more than that, you're still eligible for a piece of the voucher. So this is where, again, Richmond Heights is leading the charge in the state to look at how we are funding our public schools, and our public schools are not being left behind. And when we look at that, I want to point out one key point. 17% of new Ed Choice users this year or the past year were low income. However, there were over 69,000 new vouchers provided. So there is a dichotomy right there around what the program was for and what it is intended to do now. Again, reiterating the fight that Richmond Heights is not sitting on the sidelines. We are fighting for what is right for our students and our school community. So when we look at this voucher lawsuit that Richmond Heights is a lead plaintiff for, we have solace in knowing that there are power in numbers. Over 300 school districts have now joined onto this fight. So we have a coalition moving forward. And there's been expansion in some areas that people may have never thought vouchers would go into. So when you look at some of those other areas that were more affluent, it's up more than 100%. However, there has been less than 2%. They have lost less than 2% of the students enrolled in their district. What does that mean? That means that we are providing public dollars to a program that students didn't even need to access prior to now. So we want to make sure that folks understand that while we are here in this district, we understand and we have kept our eye on the prize. We have to fight for the sustainability of public education. So there were 5 counts back in June that were ruled on by the Ohio Court of Common Pleas. Count 1, 2, and 4 were ruled unconstitutional. So we had a big win in the courts. Count 3 is set to proceed to trial. However, count 5 was ruled in favor of the defendants, which we are appealing. Why did I put that out there this evening? I wanted to share that with you because this fight has been long going and it has been long standing. We have won in our fight. It's not over, far from over, but our solidarity and our collaboration and our grit has brought us to a point where we can realize that if we stick together and we fight for what we believe is right for our students in our community, we will win. We are focused on the students here in Richmond Heights, but we're guided by you. We want to listen to you. We want to move forward, but we want to partner with you as we do that. So what does that look like? On November 4th, there will be an issue on the ballot. And this issue that's on the ballot is solely on funding the daily operations and educational needs. It does not include any building projects or any additional thoughts that were put in before. This is just to fund the day-to-day operations of the Richmond Heights Local School District. Again, listening to you, but moving forward. So where do we go now? What does that look like? We will have a 7.5 mil levy on the ballot. And what does that look like for Richmond Heights? That is how we will operate our district moving forward. The 7.5 mil operating levy will cost a homeowner $21 per month per $100,000 home, or simply put, $263 per year per $100,000 home. Again, we are only looking to fund the day-to-day operations of this school district, not to expand, not to rebuild, not to renovate, but just to fund the day-to-day operations of this school district. But what we have to understand and come to terms with is that the work that we have done over the past decade is really sitting at the precipice of this moment. If by chance we are not successful in November, we may be placed in fiscal emergency by the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, similar to what took place over a decade ago. And the required cuts will go far deeper than what we've done thus far. The required cuts will go a little closer to the classroom, in fact, inside of the classroom. We will look at how we will have to increase our class sizes and look at reducing our staff. And the courses and offerings that we have may have to be reduced and eliminated. So these are things that we are cognizant of, that we are looking at to address if we're not successful in November. When we look at reducing transportation services, I want to be clear that this is not just the services for the students that come to our district every day that we transport to the Richmond Heights local school districts every day. It also affects the students that are transported to outside of schools, parochial and private schools. When we reduce transportation, that will affect all of us. So again, this is what this levy will provide. It will provide the day-to-day operations of this school district. So in summary, regarding the levy, passing the levy, if the levy is successful in November, our current programs and services will be sustained. But without the levy, again, we may enter fiscal emergency, and we will begin to make cuts that are closer to the classroom. These are the facts of where we are financially. The choice is before us. Again, we are a phenomenal school district. We have made phenomenal strides. Our past shows us that we are a district on the move. Let's continue that movement and momentum forward. So when you look at Richmond Heights schools, what we pride ourselves on is our uniqueness in size. Again, we only have 2 buildings on one campus, but we have the ability to tap into individual students. We have the ability to connect with families. Our teachers and our staff have the ability to collaborate and go across campuses. That is unheard of in some areas. We provide a holistic student view. We are not looking just to educate or prepare one component of the child. We're looking at the whole child, from academics to arts to athletics to student empowerment to mental health. Everything that impacts a student, we are looking to provide that. We offer personalized learning. When you come to our district and you meet with me when you enroll as a new student, we talk about your learning path. We talk about the opportunities you have before you. We talk about where you can go and how you can capitalize on the opportunities here. We personalize the learning for all of our students within our district. And then we provide opportunities to collaborate. Our teachers, our students are doing work beyond our walls every day with community partners where they're showing their prowess. And these folks are looking to collaborate with us even more because of the impact that we've had on them. So for this evening, when we look at a few key takeaways, I want to remind you that Richmond Heights, again, is a district that is phenomenal. It is on the move, and it has been able to provide our community with a great story of success. Our district is making steady progress towards a strong future, outlined by our report card. Every senior graduated in our district, and we achieved a 100% graduation rate. We celebrate that success. Our schools have gone almost 8 years without receiving new local funding support. We have made significant budget cuts, and we've streamlined our operations to reduce costs. Even with the reductions, cuts alone cannot close the gap. We are facing a $1.2 million deficit. Another fact, the majority of our revenue, 70% of it, relies on the support from our local community. Each year, this is very important, each year, the state of Ohio shifts funding formulas and expands vouchers, and many believe these changes will continue to reduce support for public education. Hence why we are strong advocates and on the Vouchers Hurt Ohio lawsuit. Local funding is the key to sustaining our progress, but it is up to our community to determine whether we will have the resources to prevent those deep cuts and avoid state oversight. We are the district, the little district that could and did, and we will continue to make strides forward, but we can only do that with you. Richmond Heights welcomes you to partner with us. We have a lot of work to do. We know that. We understand that. But we also know that we have made great strides and successes along the way. Why don't you partner with us as we move forward in this vein? At this time, I'm going to take questions. Please use our chat. We will allow folks to put questions in the chat, and as they're provided to me, I will read them or have them read, and then I will respond accordingly. Why is this levy different from the others? So the first question is, why is this levy different from the others? This levy is different because it is, one, just an operating levy. We heard from our community when we did our listening tours through our community engagement events, as well as through our survey, that it needed to be simplified. It was a little confusing before. So this levy is just operating. It is not a bond issue. It is just operating. It is not a combined levy where we're looking to take income tax as well as property tax. It is just a straightforward 7.5 mil levy, which is a reduction from the asks that were in the past.
What practically can I do as a parent to help make sure the district is successful?
What practically can I do as a parent to make sure that the district is successful? First thing is, come join us. Be a part of this. Be a part of the work that we're doing. We have a budding and thriving parent engagement group that works very hard to get the word out about the great things that we're doing in our school district. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your other friends and of your student. Let them know that we're doing great things and that if they ever have a question or concern, they can come and meet with me so that I can provide clarity. Consider hosting folks in your home or somewhere at a coffee shop where we can provide and I can provide facts on where we're going and what the district is doing to move forward. I believe that information is the key, and where we get our information from is very, very important. So why not get information from the source? We are available, I am available, but let's be conduits of information and let's partner together to get the information out.
What happens if the voucher lawsuit is lost?
So if the voucher lawsuit is lost, it will continue as it is today. Although we won in the courts and it was ruled unconstitutional on 3 of the 5 counts. Because we are in appeals, we are in the appeals process, the voucher program is still continuing as is. So if it's lost, it will continue as is. What does that mean? Over $1 billion was used to fund vouchers, and that money was taken from public schools. We wholeheartedly believe, or folks wholeheartedly believe, that that number will expand. If that number expands, that means that less money will come to the public school, which again shifts the burden to the local taxpayer. So there's a lot at stake with this voucher lawsuit. We are very excited about the win that we've had thus far, but we understand the work that is ahead of us. So we ask parents, we ask community members, join us in this fight. Call me. I can share with you what that looks like with writing your local legislator, going down to Columbus, attending the hearings. But we have to be the face of our public school education.
Does the district run the levy campaign, and how can someone help?
So the question was, does the district run the levy campaign and how can someone help? No, the district does not run the levy campaign. The levy campaign is ran by a group called Citizens for Richmond Heights Future. And their information I can provide, the help that is needed from them. They are seeking, I'm pretty sure, volunteers, folks to help them with information sharing. They're seeking probably, which I can believe, donations to help with their levy push. But they're also seeking folks to be connected with them to get the information out and spread the word so that they understand that this ask of the community is to further our school district and to support the day-to-day operations. We are not looking at building a new elementary school. We're not looking at building a new football field. We are just looking to operate our day-to-day school district. So again, Citizens for Richmond Heights Future, I will provide that information to you all in an update and possibly in the chat. But they're looking for volunteers and supporters from our city and beyond to help with this movement.
What happens if the levy fails?
So if the levy fails, and we talked a little bit about that earlier, the question was, what happens if the levy fails? We will begin to have to make cuts that are closer to the classroom. We will also be in the vein or on our way to fiscal emergency and possible state takeover on the fiscal side of things. And what that looks like is the state comes in, they tell us, hey, you have to cut X, Y, and Z. They provide a loan to the district to continue, but then they force a levy onto the community to repay back that loan. We are at a point where we are able to chart our own path forward. We're not waiting for the state to come in and tell us that 7.5 meals is not enough. You're going to have to do 10.5. We're looking at what we can do to make it throughout. So if the levy does not pass, we face that fiscal takeover. We also face cuts to the classroom, meaning staff. We also face larger class sizes. If you took a look at the slide before, our class sizes are 20-1. We will be well over 20-1. And we will also have a reduction in our transportation. Right now, we provide transportation to most of our students outside of the walk zone. outlined. However, if transportation is cut, there will be significant impacts to our families as well, those that attend Richmond Heights, local schools, and those that do not.
Questions about the vouchers. How many students? How much money is lost from the vouchers? And how much of that is related to transportation?
So the question is in regards to vouchers, how many vouchers, how much is lost? So to give you a short answer, before when vouchers first began, families that took vouchers, school districts had to verify their attendance, that they actually resided in the community that they were seeking the voucher from. And we had to sign off on that before a voucher would ever be given. That information or that process has now been usurped. There is no validation given by a local school district. So we do not know who all takes a voucher. We just have a look at our state foundation funding report that says $80,000 lost to vouchers. We don't know how many students that is, where they're attending, because we no longer have the ability to confirm that they are residents of Richmond Heights. So if you take a look at the greater landscape of things, $1 billion was put into the voucher program for the past year, meaning that that's how much money was used to fund students attending other schools outside of their public schools. In contrast, that was the same amount of money that school districts in Ohio lost because it was siphoned to the voucher program. So again, the voucher program is something that we're continuing to fight. Transparency has been lost, but we are on the forefront of ensuring that we have accountability from our state legislators in regards to this money.
What will the levy cost per month?
Per month. So for $100,000, because that is what the state auditor has us do, it would cost roughly $21 a month. That would be about $263 a year for a 7.5 mil levy. The average home cost in Richmond Heights is around $167,000. However, we understand we have homes on each end of the spectrum. But for a $100,000 home, approximately $21 a month, but $263 a year.
And how does passing the levy benefit community members who do not have students?
How does passing the levy benefit community members that do not have students in the schools? That is a very, very, very great question and important. A lot of our community members don't have students in the school district. However, what we understand and I think of is, you know, someone did it for me. I'm a graduate of public school, and someone had to pay it forward in order for me to have an education. And that is what we're doing. We are paying it forward for this generation. But also, it directly impacts the community that you live in if you have a thriving school district. Your school district in your city cannot operate outside of one another. They are interconnected. So if you have a thriving school district, you have a thriving community. A thriving school district also promotes higher home values. We are promoting citizens in this community that have a connection to this community and have a willingness to give back. So schools are a fundamental cornerstone of a community. And without a thriving school district, you do not have a thriving community. So I always say, if you want to continue to have a home where your value is respectable, you want to still have a community where events and things are thriving, you want to have a thriving school district. When you don't have the two together, you don't have a thriving community. So again, thank you for attending tonight. We are very grateful for you taking time out of your day to understand where we are as a school district and where we plan to go. Again, we are the little district that could and did, and we will continue to do so. We believe in public education, and we will continue to fight for what is right for the students and the community of Richmond Heights. If you want to join that fight, contact me. If you want to have a conversation further, contact me. We are here to serve you. Again, thank you for attending. We are one vision, one mission, one Richmond.